You ever wonder what would happen if a group of bullies crossed the line, at the exact wrong time? What if they messed with the wrong girl, in the wrong place, and her father wasn't just any ordinary dad, but a trained SWAT commander whose team just happened to be nearby, listening to every sound? This story is not just about justice. It's about silence, strength, and a moment when everything changed in 10 terrifying minutes. Stick with me, because what happens inside that school bathroom will leave you speechless. The silence she lived in. Mia had always been the quiet one. In a school of loud voices, busy hallways, and constant drama, she moved like a ghost, barely heard, rarely seen. She wasn't invisible because she wanted to be. She was invisible because it was safer that way. At just 15, Mia had already seen more than most kids should. Her mother had died when she was 9, and her father, David, a highly decorated SWAT commander, buried his grief by working long hours, training rookies, and running missions that were often too dangerous to talk about. Mia understood. But that didn't make the silence at home any easier. She sat alone at lunch. Ate in the corner. Drew quietly in her sketchbook during free time. And the bullies, they noticed. They always notice. The ringleader, Tasha, wasn't just mean. She was calculated. With her were two others, Brooke, who laughed too hard at everything cruel, and Laura, the follower who always did the dirty work. For weeks, they taunted Mia. Why don't you talk? Cat got your tongue? Or are you just slow? Mia would lower her head, swallow the pain, and say nothing. But that day, they didn't stop at words. It was after gym class. The hallway was empty. Mia was heading toward her locker when the girls surrounded her. Tasha gave a sickening smile. Time for a little makeover, silent freak. Before Mia could scream, they dragged her, hands clutching her backpack, feet scraping across the tiled floor, into the girls' bathroom. The door slammed shut. Echoed. Locked. They pushed her against the cold wall. Brooke turned on the faucet full blast, masking any sounds. Tasha took out a pair of scissors. Let's cut that ugly hair, maybe then you'll fit in. Mia's eyes welled with tears. Not because of fear, she was used to fear. But because she had truly believed if she kept her head down, it would protect her. What none of them knew, was that on that very same day, on the other side of the wall, in a building next to the gym, her father and a full SWAT unit were running a live audio training drill. And that screaming water faucet? It wasn't enough. Because one faint sound made it through. A muffled cry. A slam. The unmistakable sound of struggle. And Commander David? He recognized that voice instantly. His daughter's voice. The moment everything changed. David's headset buzzed. He froze. Everyone stop. Did you hear that? He said sharply. The team looked around, confused. Then again, that sound. Faint. Distant. But to him, unmistakable. He ripped off his vest, bolted from the training room, and radioed his team. Live extraction. Possible victim. North Hall bathroom. Go silent. Follow my lead. Back in the bathroom, things had gotten worse. They had snipped one of Mia's braids. Thrown her books in the sink. Tasha laughed as she tried to force makeup on her face with trembling hands. Mia fought back now, not with screams, but with strength. She was done being silent. She pushed Tasha away, tried to escape, but Laura shoved her back hard enough to hit the stall door. Outside, boots thundered. In a coordinated sweep, 3 SWAT officers flanked both entrances while David burst into the room like a force of nature. What he saw made his blood run cold. His daughter, on the floor. Lip bleeding. Surrounded. The girls froze. David stepped forward, gun holstered but eyes blazing. He didn't shout. He didn't have to. His team restrained the bullies calmly but firmly. Tasha tried to lie. We were just joking, but Brooke was already sobbing. Lara collapsed under pressure. It was over in less than a minute. Mia stood slowly, shaking. For the first time in weeks, she looked into her father's eyes, and burst into tears. David wrapped her in his arms, whispering, "You're safe now. Never again. Not on my watch." In the days that followed, the school launched a full investigation. The footage from hallway cameras, the audio picked up during the drill, and the full testimonies exposed the truth. Tasha and her gang were expelled. Parents called in. Authorities involved. But what mattered most wasn't punishment. It was transformation. Mia didn't return to silence. She started speaking up, not just for herself, but for others like her. She joined the student council. Led a campaign against bullying. And every time she walked down that hallway, head held high, she carried more than strength. She carried a story, of how being quiet doesn't mean being weak. Of how justice can arrive when you least expect it. And how one moment, can change everything. Sometimes the people who say the least, carry the loudest truths. And sometimes, the ones who hurt us the most, are silenced not by fists, but by courage. So if you're watching this, remember, even in silence, your voice matters. And you are never, ever alone.